Hey guys, welcome back to the Watches and Giggles channel. I'm Chris from Chicago. First off, as always, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me today. I do appreciate it. It does mean a lot. You know, before we get into today's video or slash discussion, I just wanted to take a moment to thank each and every one of you that have subscribed to the channel. I recently looked and saw that I was over 800, which is very humbling. I am very thankful and I am very grateful, which I do tell you guys that before each video. And that's because, you know, I'm not really trying to make money off YouTube. I do this because I enjoy it, because I have a passion for watches, but I'm not, you know, asking you to like and subscribe, you know, in every video that I do. That's just not my style. I'm of the mindset, if you want to, you will. And if you don't, you won't. And that's all there is to it. But I am humbled and I am touched that over 800 of you now have decided to come along with this watch ride, this watch journey with me. So thank you. But with that said, we're going to be discussing today a year-owned review with the Rolex Sea Dweller, the 50th anniversary. That's right. And really just my thoughts and feelings of ownership for now having owned it a year, which is kind of crazy. I can't believe it's been a year already. But this watch is just amazing. And it's not going to be too many negative things said about it. But before we get into that, guys, we'll see what I'm wearing. And I have on today another diver, a Tudor Black Bay Burgundy ETA version. And I think this watch, guys, could be the first luxury watch for you if you are in the market. And it could be the perfect first luxury watch. So I just made a video about that. If you want to check it out, it's the last video I did. But I do really love this watch. But not as much as I love this watch. That's right. So without further ado, a year owned with this bad boy, the SD43, the 50th anniversary Sea Dweller. My thoughts, my feelings of ownership after 1 year. Briefly, we'll just get in, if you've never seen it before, what does a Rolex come with when you buy it? Well, you get this wonderful green hang tag. See that Rolex there? That's kind of cool. Light play there. Right here is your serial number, what it costs, covering up. Well, oop, got a glimpse there. Oh, well, I don't care. So at the time I purchased it, it was $11,350. Now it's gone up to $11,700. So they are increasing in value. What else does it come with? Do a better job. So warranty card and your worldwide service booklet. It is a nice presentation there with that. They could do better in my opinion. The Rolex box is fine. And then you'll see here that I actually have the diver extension out. I find the watch much more comfortable without this bad boy in. With that said, it is well done. You can see the beautiful Rolex crown there. Also, you can see wear there, as I probably only had it in for about a month and it scratches up quite a bit, but you'll never see it when you're wearing it. But just thought I'd share that with you guys. But I do recommend taking out that diver's extension. Your Rolex AD should be able to do it for you if you can't. So aesthetically, I think this watch, in my personal opinion, is perfect. I know a lot of you, that Cyclops right there, do not like it on this diver. It's the first time that Rolex put the Cyclops there, that bubble, on a Rolex Sea Dweller. And I think it's cool. Anytime Rolex does something for the first time, it's usually valuable. And also, the red writing right there. That's right, Sea Dweller in red. I think, in my personal opinion, guys, I think this watch will definitely be a future classic and people will clamor for it, you know, 10 years down the road when Rolex eventually discontinues this watch. But what else do I think or feel about this watch? Well, the bezel is absolutely magnificent. It feels amazing to use. It's just perfect. It sounds amazing. It's reassuring. There's no play in it. It's just beautifully well done. And in my opinion, Rolex does the best bezel action in the world, but that's just my opinion. Now, the dial itself, I think, is presented beautifully. It makes sense. It's proportioned correctly with the 4 lines. You'll see it's coming up on noon my time. But the triangle comes almost all the way down to the crown. And what goes unsaid a lot about this watch is the dial. And in my opinion, it's more of a vintagey, blackish, grayish dial. And it's just stunning. It's different from the Rolex Submariner. The dial is just very cool. You'll also notice I have a Mark II dial. You'll see the crown in between the Swiss made. I was not fortunate enough to be able to get the first batch, the first year for 2000. This watch came out in 2017, and there was no crown in between the Swiss made. Now, some collectors will say that's the one to have, and you know, they could be right, who knows, but only time will tell. But I think this watch in general will become a future classic, partly because of that red writing and partly because of that Cyclops. Yeah, it's very controversial, and some people like it, some people don't, but I personally love it. Let's get it off the pillow here. Talk more about the watch itself. Over here, you'll have the helium escape valve, and it's done in like a machine gray, and it's beautiful. I love the contrast on the polished side there. I think it looks really cool. This is one of the few watches Rolex does with caseback writing. Not very many have them. The Milgauss, you know, a few others, but a lot of times it's just a plain caseback, and we all know that. But you'll see the writing there, original gas escape valve and Rolex Oyster Sea Dweller, and then the crown in between both. Little tip for you guys, if you guys are married and have a wedding ring, be careful taking it on and off. I have some scratches because of that. And we all know 904L steel, there's nothing like it, right? The glow of this steel is like no other. It's like, you know, a precious metal to us. That's why I guess these Rolex sports models are so coveted, because of this 904L steel. But the problem with it is if you're not careful, it'll scratch. And this holds up much better than when these are polished. The polished center links are, oh, such a pain. They scratch almost without even touching them. But this right here, the class, the way Rolex does it, in my opinion, is one of the best, you know, for what you're looking at for a steel sports model. You know, from Omega to JLC to Tudor, you know, to whatever, Rolex is, this thing is just reassuring. It's like a tank. It's solid. It's fun to use. It's beautiful. You know, it's just awesome. And you never have to worry about this falling off your wrist. With that said, I have taken this Rolex on multiple trips, not so much recently, obviously, was what's going on, but I have taken this in the pool. I have taken this in the ocean, and no problems. I mean, it's only a year-old watch, so why should there be? But just wanted to report back, never had any issues with it, and it performed flawlessly and worked magnificently. This watch, in my opinion, is a masterpiece, and this will be, if I become unemployed or start having, you know, multiple children or whatever, and I have to sell off some of my watches, this would probably be the one watch that I would keep. I do feel this watch can be a one and done watch if you have the correct wrist size. I would say anything over 7 inches and above, and you'll be okay, because this is a heavy beast. This is a chunky monkey. This is a big boy. It's, oh my goodness, it's over 190 grams. It is heavy watch. So if you have the right wrist like I do to support it, let's get it on the wrist here. We'll take off that ring that I stated. That'll scratch up your watch. If you have the right wrist, it's no big deal. It's no problem. For me, I have 7 3/4 wrist, and it wears magnificently on my wrist. It is, my goodness, it's well over 14 millimeters in height, closing in on 15 millimeters, but You know, I'll tell you this, guys. This watch, every time I put it on, I get that fuzzy feeling, that, roller coaster loops in my stomach. I get butterflies. I really do. I love the way this watch makes me feel. And really, that's kind of what it's all about, right? If you're really into the hobby, it's about when you put on that watch, does it make you fall in love with it every time you put it on? Are you really enjoying it? And, for me, this watch does that. It just gives me those butterflies in my stomach. I absolutely love it. Okay, what negatives can I say about this watch? Well, I don't really have many. I mean, it's heavy, so is it a little cumbersome to wear it day in and day out? Absolutely. Okay, if you have to wear a suit every day to work, it's going to be, one of those guys that bangs on the cuff. You'll probably have to get a specially made cuff. But a lot of you, are well-to-do financially, and a lot of you have your shirts made. So that might not be an issue for you. But if you are a suit and tie guy and don't get your shirt specially made, the standard cuff, it is going to bang into that. So that is a little problematic. Also, that Cyclops. A lot of you don't like that Cyclops. Very controversial. It's the first time Rolex put it on the Sea Dweller. I, for one, don't mind it. I actually like it. And if you're older and can't see very well, it's going to help you see it. And legibility on this watch, I think, is outstanding. So that really wasn't, I got off track there. That really wasn't a negative. Yeah, guys, I'm struggling. I don't have a lot of negative things to say about this watch after a year owned. I absolutely love it. Highly recommend it. If you have the wrist to support it. Anything 7 and above, if you're 6.5 and under, definitely not. It's going to be too big. You're going to get too much overhang. So there's a negative. If you have a small wrist, not for you. But I don't know, guys. I think that's about it. I think I've taken up as much of your time as I want to. But I'm over the moon with this watch and will continue to enjoy it for years and years to come. So with that said, guys, that's the year-owned review for the SD43, the Rolex Sea Dweller 50th anniversary. Thank you so much for joining me today, guys. I do appreciate it, and I'll talk to you next time. Take care.